It's 7 o'clock, and I'm calling the meeting of the Development Review Board to order. I'm Maya Hasagawa, I'm the vice chair. And as you notice, we have 5 people here. And a quorum is 4. And you need 4 of the 5 of us to vote for your project. So if you would like to have it continued, you can let me know when it comes up on the agenda. Or I know Evan said no. He just go ahead and.
I'm happy to go ahead.
Okay, we looked at your stuff last time.
Right,
so,
exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so you guys have to sit through while I try to read these remarks. Okay. At the DRB, we hear applications for land development in the town of Brattleboro and appeals of zoning administrator decisions. Procedurally, the Development Review Board operates on the record. Broadly, this means we take a clear record of testimony from the applicant and any interested parties, and then issue a written decision with our findings. Applicants and members of the public should be aware that, as we are on the record, this is your opportunity to comment on and provide evidence relating to an application. In the event our decision is appealed to the environmental court, the court will not take or consider additional testimony at its hearing, but will look at evidence from our hearing, the regulations, and determine if the evidence supports the findings and the decision of this board. Only interested parties that participate in this proceeding may appeal a decision made by the board, so I strongly encourage all of you to speak up at this hearing. As we are on the record, we are going to ask that you affirm that your testimony will be truthful. So would the applicants and anyone wishing to speak to an application please affirm the following. Just raise your right hand. I hereby affirm that the evidence I give in this cause under consideration shall be the whole truth and nothing but the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury.
I do.
I do.
What?
Robin needs to sign in.
You can sign in.
I figured I'd wait till you were.
Okay.
Till I'm finished talking.
Yes.
Applicants require a majority vote of the full board to succeed. That is 4 votes out of 7. If we do not have a full board present to hear your application, then we will consider a request to continue your application to the next public meeting. After taking testimony, the board will close the public hearing and may vote on your application. The board will issue a written decision within 45 days of the close of the hearing. While we may vote on an application, it is the written decision that controls the timeline for appeal. It should be noted that the town of Brattleboro is a party with an interest in land development applications. The town does not have a special status before this board. Documents provided to the board by the town planning department, town attorney, or other town departments will be considered in exactly the same way as information from the applicant and all other interested parties. So, Brian, has the meeting been properly warned?
Yes, it has.
Are there any conflicts of interest? No. Oh, I forgot. We have to approve the minutes of October 22nd.
So moved. Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. The first case on the agenda, 2018-29, Housing Vermont and the Brattleboro Housing Partnerships for Red Clover Commons has been withdrawn. They're redoing their plans. So it'll be warned, and we'll talk about it at some future date. The next case is 2018-160. Excuse me. Oh, I do need to appoint Dave and Nora to hear all the cases. Thank you. Felicity? So you just want to give a little summary?
Sure. The last time I was here was for the subdivision, which
Right.
you approved. And the purpose of the subdivision was to build a smaller house, to sell the larger house and build a smaller house. And so now I'm here for approval for the driveway and the house site. And this land is sloped, which is why I need you. And I've spoken to the man, Tim Hamilton, who's going to be doing the driveway, and he sketched a little plan which I gave to Brian. Tim is going to have to build a small culvert to deal with the runoff from the current driveway. In other words, the new driveway is going to go over the current runoff from the old driveway. So there's going to be a little culvert there. But essentially the land actually sort of goes, it's flat and then there's like a ridge and then it's flat again and then there's a ridge. So it's sort of terraced. So much of the driveway is going to go along a terrace and not, in fact, going to require too much disturbance. And then he's going to slowly go up the slope. So it shouldn't be that's not going to impinge upon the riparian buffer.
So are you going to be cutting a lot of?
There are going to be trees cut, yes. Right now the land is entirely wooded with hemlock. And they need to come down both in order to clear the site for a house and to make sure that the house is not within a tree that might fall on it once it's been built.
Any questions?
Could I ask Brian a question? How does steep slopes come into play in terms of our zoning and why a person would need to come to this board?
Sure. So developing steep slopes can cause more runoff downstream, so it elevates risk that way, and then it's risky at itself because the ground can be unstable.
Okay.
So we do regulate development on steep slopes. It kicks in at 15% grade, and you can develop sites up to 30% grade. But you do need to get conditional use approval for that development if it goes over a certain square footage.
Okay. And that's why Felicity's back here to get that conditional use approval.
So the area square footage is above the minimum, so conditional use approval is required.
Do we know what the grade is roughly on this?
I did a back of the napkin calculation, maybe, and it was like 18%.
Okay.
So it falls into the 15 to 20%.
Okay.
If I read that properly.
And then you have this, I guess the illustration shows the sort of 3-acre parcel which has the bigger house.
Mm-hmm.
And then the plan for the smaller house is on just a small portion of this, what is it, roughly 20 acre?
It's roughly 20 acres. It's an awkward shaped parcel, so the larger leg of the parcel goes up behind the 3-acre parcel.
Yeah.
Yeah, I remember that from last.
And you had mentioned this, most of the parcel is not conducive to building on it.
Exactly.
And
Most
that's-
of it is on a slope,
And
yeah.
that's why you're putting or
Right.
the plan for the house
Right.
is on that part of the parcel.
Yeah, I wanted to also minimize having to build the driveway. Because
Okay,
if I had done it on the larger section, I would have to do a huge driveway,
okay.
which I really didn't want to do.
Okay, and the small house is that little rectangle?
Right, yep. Identified as proposed house site.
there be any reason for us not to approve this? I'm just directing my question to the more experienced members of the board.
Eric's
I'm
reading.
fine with it.
Oh, I see, that's the culvert.
Yeah.
Any questions? No? Okay. Where, are you just gonna push the snow off the road when you have the driveway cleared?
Yes.
Just into the undeveloped?
Yes. You mean when the driveway's done?
Yes.
And when I'm living in the house and I have it plowed?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, in fact, when he does the driveway, I'm gonna take particular care in designing how the snow goes, because right now, it wasn't done in the house I'm currently in, and it's really a bother to try to find a place to put the snow.
Does the town have any specific recommendations when people are putting in new driveways about snow removal?
You know, that's a good question.
Yeah, so what we're looking for as far as snow removal is that the plowed snow is put somewhere where it's not going to discharge directly into streams or cause sediment to enter streams. So ideally, it would be on a flat or slightly depressed pervious surface where it can melt and sediment can fall out.
Yeah, well, I can do that easily. I mean, it can go.
On the flat part of one of
On
the
the flat part,
terraces.
yeah, to the, right over here of the
Yeah.
proposed house site.
Yeah.
And there it will melt happily into the ground,
Yeah.
far away from the stream.
Okay. When you build your house, you have to have either an outlet or are you gonna have a garage?
Not the plan. I'm gonna have a little porch that has a car underneath it.
Okay, well, you will need to have the wired for an electric car charger.
Oh, okay. Great.
We're encouraging
Is that
electric
a
car
new,
charger.
is that a new thing?
Yeah.
Great, okay. And then I'll have to get an electric car.
Yeah, you can get a nice hybrid or something.
Yeah, get one with clearance.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, essentially, it's stated as it would be wired for 120 volt, 20 amp ground fault circuit interrupter outlet, or a 220 volt, 50 amp ground fault circuit interrupter protected outlet on a dedicated circuit. So that would be the requirement. It's
Okay.
pretty clear, so an
Yeah,
electrician
it'll be,
can.
It's gonna be in the letter.
it'll be in the
Okay,
letter.
great.
When you're doing the driveway, you have to have some erosion control
Mm-hmm.
measures, bales, I can't say that,
Hay bales.
or something else to keep the runoff from going into the riparian buffer.
Mm-hmm, okay.
And you're just gonna clear around the house and up the driveway, right? Most
Right.
of the site is gonna remain
Right.
wooded. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Anything else? We talked about stormwater. Any further discussion? No? No. Motion?
As public comment.
Oh,
Saying there is none.
No
Wow.
no public comment.
Do we,
well, Robin would say something if she wanted to say something, so.
Thanks for
should
that.
somebody put forward the motion?
We don't have any additional conditions, right?
All right.
Okay.
I move we approve it.
Second.
Take one of those.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Like
Thanks.
you got.
Have fun building your house.
Thank you.
And your driveway. And your driveway. In the spring, right?
Yeah, not now. I missed my chance.
Thank you. Okay, what's next? The next item on the agenda, 2018-176, Brattleboro Union High School sign. They've asked for a continuance, so is there a motion to grant them a continuance?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Just, the motion should say that it's continued to December 17th.
Okay, Dave?
Yes.
Continue to.
Continue to December 17th.
Okay.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's continued. The next item on the agenda is 2018-179, Evan Chadwick.
So what house did you buy?
Chris Dugan's, 136 High
Do
Street.
you need a, what you call it?
Yeah, one of
Easel?
those things.
So as you're going up, it's on the left then?
It's the big yellow one right at the four-way.
Where'd Dukes go?
Huh?
Where's Dugan moving?
He's moving to Vernon. Bought a house, a horse farm out there, I guess.
What's he smoking?
I have no idea.
Want to take the color one again?
I was looking at the picture, I just couldn't figure out where the hell it was.
My guess is that this will work if you want to use it.
Oh, great. That way I don't have to stand there.
Yeah, it's not,
Quiet.
it's relatively stable.
Relatively.
Thank you.
So I didn't get to hear where this house is. I'll probably have to ask that again.
It's second or third past the cross, was it Whipple or Bullock?
If you're going up on the four-way, and you're going towards
West Brattleboro.
West Brattleboro.
Yeah.
It'll be on your left-hand side. It is the big yellow house. You've got the big Norman Doe building, which is
Yeah.
a lot higher, and then Chris Dugan's is the next one. It's this, well, now it's mine, but it's a yellow house with a very nice front porch.
And a barn behind it,
In
right?
a
Yeah, cool.
garage barn, yes, behind it.
It was
Very
mentioned,
symmetrical.
Yeah.
Very
I
close.
guess we're getting ahead of it, but
Robin,
Yeah.
you can sit up there with him.
You want to,
I'm
Robin?
just shouting out
Come on up.
my comments. Sorry.
No, it's a nice house. Okay, talk to us about your project.
So the proposal is, when Chris Dugan, who's a very good friend of mine, originally bought it, his intent was to put his office downstairs and do a living space upstairs. Upstairs is a 3-bedroom, currently 1 bath, and then downstairs is 1 bedroom with 2 baths, which are both almost handicap accessible, the dimensions are, and then 2 very nice rooms in the front, as you can see. A living room and a sitting room. So the proposal is to put my law office on the bottom. Pointed out to you here. So this area right here that is marked as green essentially would be my office space. I would then also provide a separate professional office space for a third party. There would be a shared ADA bath. And then this would also be a form of egress for the upstairs, so they would have 2 forms of egress for the upstairs, which would be a 3-bedroom, 1.5 bath. We would add an additional bath upstairs for residents that I would rent out. Currently, it already has parking in the back for at least 8 spots. It also has a 2-car garage in the back. All of this is pre-existing, will not be modifying any of that. The house is in very good shape and be very limited in what I do. The one issue will be that I will add a handicap ramp along the side here, which will then enter into, this is a dining room area. As you can see, it will not go out farther than the tip of the house, and then this is a driveway that goes back to the parking lot. There's a house in the back there. There is a shared driveway agreement in the deed, essentially granting the individual who owns the house back there access and one parking spot in the back. So that's already been worked out with the current owner.
So you put a door in that dining room area?
Yeah, the entryway will be right here. This will be kind of more of a common greeting area, which will then also give the second professional office space and then a shared hallway, shared bathroom.
Okay, so it's different than what we have here.
Maybe just a little bit, yes, slightly modified from what we have there.
What is that room that's sort of just on the schematic above the shared office or shared office?
Right here?
No, the top green one.
Top one. Sorry.
No, right there. You've got 3 rooms in green.
Above the ADA? Is
Oh,
that what you're talking?
Yeah, no, the green one.
This side.
the green one. This one.
Here.
Yeah, what is that?
This is an additional office. Right now,
I
it's
see.
right now it's a kitchen.
Okay.
We'll be removing all the appliances and moving them
Okay.
upstairs to put in this kitchen, and that will be an office space for my office.
So what I'm saying is that middle green is what you see as sort of, in a sense, something like a waiting room for both your office and the other office.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you say the current configuration was?
The current configuration.
In terms of how it's being used?
Oh, right.
Right here.
Thank you. So here you go. This is as it is designed currently.
So essentially, it's a 2-story house split into 2
It's a
apartments.
single family. It's a single family right now. It's a 4-bedroom, essentially 3-bath house, about 3,000 square feet.
So it's not currently 2
It's-
families?
That is correct.
Okay. So it's not like it's not like you're taking away a residential space in a way, you're just making the residential space smaller.
Yep.
And then can I ask Brian, this area is, I feel like along High Street and Western Avenue, there are numerous houses that have a sort of combination commercial, professional
Yes,
office
yeah.
space downstairs and then residential apartments upstairs.
Yeah, I think that is the typical development along Western Ave and High Street.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Green Street doesn't have that, is it? Is there a dividing zoning line there?
There isn't currently, I think there was in the past.
Okay.
Is
So
the
can
driveway paved or what's?
Yes. Yep.
Can you go over the ramp part again, just a little bit?
So, yeah, so in the back here, you don't see it on this drawing, but in the back here is the garage, and then there is a stone patio area here. So people will access it from the parking lot, which is behind the garage. And then there will be a couple of different areas to access, but this along the line here will be the main access for the ADA compliance. This will be a separate entrance, which will also allow the tenant upstairs to access the ADA and then go up.
And the
the steps.
parking.
Yes, and the parking.
And you have space for snow?
Yeah, no change as far as the snow removal. Dave Manning's been plowing there for many, many years, and it is all able to, you're able to bank it in the back there. There's plenty of room to put it on a flat area, as you guys want, not on a slanting area
Right.
with any streams. And there's also a dry well already. All of the water is self-contained, in the back parking lot.
So presumably that parking lot then sort of abuts a property where that property owner would be on Green Street presumably? And
Correct.
then there.
That is correct.
Okay.
Is there a dry well on the property for the stormwater?
I believe there is, in the back. It's all self-containing, there's no standing
runoff?
water. But there's the parking lot in the back has a drainage area or a dry well where all the water feeds into in the back. There's really no slant, it's very flat back there.
Do you foresee putting any exterior lighting?
It's pretty well lit right now with motion lights and LEDs. The only place that I may add one would be along the new existing handicap ramp.
Could I follow up that question and maybe direct it to Brian? Since he's coming to the board to do something new, Do we have a way of knowing that the existing lights are in compliance?
You'll have to bring them into compliance, so it's something I'll look at when I do the certificate of compliance inspection.
Okay.
Typically, motion sensor ones are compliant because the wattage isn't very high and they're partially shielded.
Okay.
And there will be a compliant light by the new door.
Okay.
That's to code, building code.
And I'll get on my little hobby horse. I've done it at other meetings. It's just a recommendation. I can't really enforce it, I don't think. It's already saying color temperature for all fixtures shall be between 2500 and 3000 K. It's just the color temperature. What you'll find is 2700 mimics the tungsten lights of old. And so it's just you'll find that the 2700 is a much more familiar warm light. And that oftentimes with modern LEDs, once they go up above 3000, they go into the 5000. It's very cold blue light, much similar to fluorescent. So I always like to bring that up to people who may be putting in lights, that you may find that there's a big difference between 2700 and 3000, and it often can create a very warm and inviting light, which I think many people would appreciate, including yourself. So I just thought I'd bring that up.
Thank you.
Your tenant will appreciate it. So, I can't remember, I looked at this, and I've driven by this house many times. What kind of trees are in front?
There
Do you
are no
have-
trees.
No trees.
And Brian, would this be something where we would either require or just encourage the idea of any trees?
No, there are landscaping requirements, and because it's a new conditional use, it's actually considered a major site plan.
Okay.
So major site plans actually have to have a professional landscaping plan by either a landscaper or a horticulturist. So,
Are you aware of this? Okay.
Yeah.
Is there
Not
enough,
part of the fun.
Okay.
is there enough room in front for?
Well, I mean, there is room in the front. The issue is I don't want it to block too much my tenant's access to the front as a second form of egress. Certainly, I understand that there will need to be certain plantings, but there's a sign, just past the covered porch here, I believe, a crosswalk sign. So there's only about, I wish I knew right off the top of my head, but only about,
Not a lot.
I measured it at one point.
yeah, but it was like 30 feet or so from the porch to the actual
It's in the sidewalk.
sidewalk.
30 feet?
I think about 30 feet.
No.
No. Sorry.
What's the distance of this room, roughly? 20 feet?
Yeah, I thought it was.
You're way closer than that.
Yes, yes.
I mean, it might be less than that. Maybe I'm being generous with it.
And to be clear, what you're saying is that right in front of this building is the crosswalk sign that announces there's a crosswalk just a little bit further down the road? Okay.
Yeah.
So, are there trees in back where the parking lot is?
No trees on our property at all, I believe.
Interesting.
There are trees abutting in the back that is on the boundary line, but
Do they shade your parking lot at all?
a little. The house in the back shades it more than anything else, really. There are some trees back there that provide some shade. And I believe there was, at least a while ago, an old right-of-way that allowed access through, but
Would you say that the parking lot then, there's not really any space beyond the parking lot in your property?
there is 10, 15 feet.
Okay.
Where the snow goes.
Yes.
He just wiped your phone.
No, I got it back. I got it back.
Okay.
Thanks, Eric.
But what I understand is we need to see a landscape plan. Is that right?
You guys can condition it, so they just have to submit one for administrative approval.
Yeah.
And
Actually, it's longer than I thought it was.
Yeah.
Is this a
It's-
photo of the
We
front?
probably got 20
Yes.
feet.
Yeah, I thought it was more like 20.
It's got like 20 feet.
Oh, that's interesting, isn't it?
It's a nice porch.
I looked at it already. It's okay.
Oh. Thanks, Nora.
Right.
And how would, because we're looking at your front, I think you had a
Yeah,
small
it's-
drawing of a proposed sign? An
I did-
exterior sign?
Yeah, I did submit a proposed sign, just very basic. It's my
We could have the,
snapshot.
we could have the BCTV zoom in.
Yeah.
Well, visual thinkers, this is very,
Visual thinkers,
it's
yeah.
very appreciative to
Yeah.
see. So you see a very simple sign.
Very
is it?
simple sign, just green and white letters with our phone number.
And do we know what, are you gonna try and use the maximum allowable? Is that, and
4
Brian,
by-
could you?
4 by 3, I believe. Yeah.
Okay.
So one of my questions on the sign is you have another tenant hopefully on the other side,
Mhm.
right?
Yep.
Do they get a sign too?
Well, that's a good question.
Do you,
They would be, I would presume that if, when I do have another professional tenant in there, that they would have access to post an additional sign there.
do you want to, I mean, again, it's less about us telling you what to do, but suggesting. Would one proposal be that he would gain approval for the maximum allowable, and then you would perhaps could he use half of that maximum allowable for your office, leaving half of the allowable for your future tenant on the office side?
Yeah. I think that makes sense. I don't know.
Because we have to be clear,
Yeah,
if he
yeah.
uses the maximum allowable for his sign, it's not like his office tenant could then
Put
duplicate
another
that.
sign up, right, just
Right.
big, it's
Right.
kind of close.
Yeah,
The
just-
maximum amount of signage
And
that I
this is the
could have
parking.
would be the 12 square feet,
Thank you.
Okay.
regardless
So it is
of
shaded.
how many other professional office spaces I have. That's my understanding.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's correct. In that neighborhood, projecting signs can work really well because a lot of people are on foot. So that might be a good
Yeah.
choice for a tenant.
I don't think
And how would you describe it?
It's the parking area.
Oh, okay.
And they're nicer looking sometimes.
Sometimes.
And then this, there's some green space on what would I guess be the west side. Is that the part of your property or is that the neighbor's?
Here, are you talking about?
On the west side.
Oh, that, I believe, that's, right, I don't know whose that is, that's right on the boundary line.
Okay. It's interesting because this overhead shot, it does seem like you have a bit of space in front of the building,
Mhm.
in front of the building and the sidewalk.
What side are you folks looking at?
We're looking at an overhead shot?
The
Do you want
west
to see?
side.
I just need to record what the source is for.
It looks like a
Google
Google
Earth?
Earth
Google.
image.
Google Earth,
An
that's right.
overhead image.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So-
out of the south.
Yeah. And it looks like you have a little shade
A little bit.
back there.
Yeah.
I guess I could say just as an individual who lives in town and not as a member of the DRB, it would be lovely to see more trees on that street. You know, I understand that you don't want, whatever your opinion on trees are, the concern would be perhaps competition with the sign that you're proposing.
I love trees.
Yeah, they love your business.
Well,
Ryan, what sign zone is he in? 2?
I would have to look it
I
up.
think so. I looked it up.
Yeah, I
It's
thought it was
maximum
2 when I
square
looked
feet,
at
Yeah,
it.
60
it's
square.
residential neighborhood, that's 2, right?
Yeah. So, you can have a little bit of extra space if you put both businesses on the same sign.
oh,
You should look it up.
okay.
It's zone 2,
Zone 2?
and it says 64 square feet, but you get 8,
No, that's for this,
is that commercial?
that would be for the service center zone.
Okay.
Oh, so,
Oh, she's on 356, or 3-56.
so he is zone 1? 12 square feet?
It's 12 square feet.
Yeah.
12 square
Okay,
feet,
yeah.
okay, sorry.
That's okay. Thanks.
My wife's the same thing, so that's how I know.
Ah,
Sharon?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Straight
We don't
across the
have-
street.
We don't have special rules on signs for law offices?
It should be smaller.
no, but if you had 12 square feet, you could,
That would be
You would have
more
enough
than I
room.
need.
Sorry,
That's okay.
I thought you were in a different zone.
I appreciate it.
Trying to get you some more space on your sign. Any other questions?
I would just like a landscape plans.
Yep.
Yeah, for the front and the back.
And the side, I think they have to
If any buffers needed with your
buffer
neighbors.
needed, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Is that something that you would have administrative approval, or would he need to come back to us?
I'd be fine with administrative.
Yep.
And I just noticed from the draft decision, Mr. Chadwick's probably aware about that, what we just mentioned to the previous applicant about a dedicated circuit for electric vehicle
Yep.
charging.
Did
You're
that
aware
with
of
my
that?
wife's, there's the one that we just got approval from.
Okay.
Beginning of the year, so.
Done yet?
99%.
Oh, boy.
So the only other things that we haven't talked about, I think, are a Knox box, if you have tenants. You have to talk to the fire department.
You have to talk to Joe.
Knockbox on the front door.
It allows them access to
It
a
saves you a broken door if you have fire.
Oh, okay, yep, okay, yep.
And a bike rack or ring or something.
We'll have plenty of space in the back.
Yeah. I think we've talked about everything else.
Could I ask a quick question, because she brought up bike rack? In the case of his property, where he has a grass sort of front yard, would you ever would we ever have somebody put a bike rack up front on the lawn, or is that sort of a counter?
I think it would be allowed, but in this case, there's also indoor storage, so I
Right.
think if there's indoor storage instead, that's probably actually preferable for bike.
Yeah, I was
Because-
thinking about clients that might ride their bike up to see you.
The idea is if they had would it also be allowed for, does that, oh, I see, the handicap ramp goes into the interior of the building, it doesn't
Yeah.
go to the porch.
Correct.
Yeah.
I was just wondering if it made sense to put a place for a bike to be locked on the porch. And what are our feelings on that? I'm just curious as the town.
It just has to be provision for people to be able to ride their bikes and have them stored safely.
Okay, so it's really at the discretion of the owner.
For this type of mixed residential, small commercial, I think there's a lot more flexibility.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, the tenant's supposed to have access to an interior storage for his bike?
That's really the board's decision.
What's that?
That would be the board's decision.
Okay.
So there is a foyer, and this is an area that would be enjoyed by the tenant. And there is plenty of room here. This would be like a coat rack area for them before they go up the stairs.
There's also
plenty
the
of room there. There's
giant
also-
barn.
Yeah, there's also a huge barn. Okay.
Yeah.
Maybe one day will be another apartment. We'll see. We'll cross that
Oh,
bridge when we get there.
Any other questions?
Is the barn going to be in use for anything, or?
Just parking right now. I know that there's a drastic need for indoor working space, but not right now. That'll just be parking.
Any questions? No? No other questions? Okay. Motion to approve it with the conditions that we've discussed?
Also moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, you guys.
Oh, 40 minutes. Does anybody else have any other business?
Just note that, for the record, there were no members of the public present to
Comment?
comment.
I move we adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye. Wow, so we're good.
Have a nice